Hi, today we're going to learn all about solving linear equations in one variable. When you look at your equation, you should see that it has only one variable, or letter representing an unknown number. It should also be linear, meaning that that variable is not raised to any power besides the first power. Once you've checked that these conditions are in place, you can use a simple step-by-step process to solve your linear equation. In the first two steps, you are going to simplify each side of your equation. The first thing you need to do is look at both sides to see if there are any parentheses. In step 1, you will remove the parentheses by using the distributive property of multiplication to multiply the coefficient outside the parentheses with the terms inside the parentheses. After you finish step 1, there should be no more parentheses in your equation. Now that you're done with step 1, or if there were no parentheses in your equation to begin with, the next thing to look at when you simplify both sides of the equation is whether or not there are like terms on either side. Like terms would be two terms that have the same variable, or two terms that are both constant terms. If you see such a pair or group of more than two terms on each side, you can simplify that side by combining the like terms. After you've performed step 2, you should have, at most, one variable term and one constant term on each side of the equation. Now that we've simplified both sides of the equation, we can start isolating the variable, getting it all by itself on one side of the equation with one constant on the other side. The first thing we're going to do is get the variables all on one side. So in step 3, what you'll need to do is move all of the variable terms in your equation to the same side. If you only have the variable on one side of the equation at this point, you'll probably want to leave it on that side. If you do have variables on both sides of the equation, you should know that it is okay to move the variables to either side. But for our examples, we are going to always choose to put the variable on the left side of the equation. To do this, we're going to take a look at the variable term on that side and move the variable term from the other side by doing the opposite operation to cancel it out. At this point, you should have your variables all on one side of the equation, just a single letter in a single term. Perhaps your equation already started off this way, or perhaps you performed the previous steps to bring it to this point. We're going to move on now to moving the constant terms to the other side of the equation in step 4. In order to do this, just like we did with the variable, we're going to look at the side of the equation that already has our variable. If you chose to follow my example, that would be the left side of the equation. Now, just like you did with the variable, you can perform the opposite operation to cancel out the constant term that is on the same side as the variable, moving it to the other side of the equation. At this point, you should have your variable term on one side of the equation all by itself and a constant on the opposite side of the equation. In order to get the variable by itself, you need to remove the coefficient. You can do this by dividing both sides of the equation by that coefficient. After doing this, you should have the variable all by itself on one side of the equation and a constant on the other side. Congratulations, you've now solved your equation. Now that you've solved the equation and found the value of the variable, you can check your work by going back to the original equation and plugging in the value of that variable using substitution. Now, you can simplify the resulting expression on each side of the equation and check to ensure that both sides are in fact equal. If you have done this, then you know that you have correctly solved your linear equation in one variables. Congratulations!